This is Champagne Confidential,
where real conversations meet real life.
We're a therapist
And a lawyer.
And longtime friends
who are not afraid to talk about the things most people avoid.
We're talking motherhood,
relationships,
work, pressure, and boundaries.
Hard conversations.
The kind you usually only have after hours.
No scripts.
No filters.
Just honest conversations.
So grab a glass, you're invited into the conversation.
Thanks for joining us on the very first episode of Champagne Confidential.
Woo! We are highlighting friendship, tradition, and leveling up. Cheers.
I also feel like we've come so far from when we first met. We're moms, we're business owners, we're crazy like everybody else.
The struggle, the lack of motivation, feeling like I don't want to do this anymore. We really pulled it together somehow and helped each other through that.
I'm not sure that I could have done it without you. Obviously, the friendship has evolved into something that's really very special. So I see you brought the Vouv this time.
Yes, of course. This is an exciting first episode. I can't believe we're actually doing this.
This has been years in the making.
It really has, yeah.
Right? Years of friendship, years of goals, and here we've done it.
Yeah, I feel like when I think back on where we kind of started this conversation around wanting to put this together, it was just like a night out, you and I, and talking about how we have so many similarities and overlaps in our work and our family life, right? And just trying to kind of bring that to everybody was a vision we had, and here it is. We did it.
You know what? I also feel like we've come so far from when we first met, and I think that, so many people can relate to this. We're moms, we're business owners, we're crazy like everybody else. I don't ever try to pretend like I'm busier than anybody. But I think coming to this moment where you have a goal, you reach your goal, it's such a sense of accomplishment.
For sure.
And that's what I love. Honestly, I love that, even for our kids, right? Like so many things that we do, and we talk about this all the time. I know everything that I do it with the goal of my children watching, right?
Sure,
so friendships, modeling, right? Seeing the success of a business, seeing persistence, and then seeing this come to fruition, I think will be a really great, accomplishment.
Yeah, and for them to witness, right?
Yeah.
To see us making this happen and prioritizing it, I think is huge. Yeah, absolutely.
So and cheers.
Yes,
cheers to us.
Yay.
Well, cheers. We could cheers. We could cheers more than once. This is a success.
Yes, it is. For sure.
Cheers. Speaking of accomplishments, I think that it's important that we recap on our biggest recent accomplishment.
Absolutely. Yeah, we just kind of jumped back into regular life, but the last couple of days have been so much fun, and I feel like we haven't seen each other since then, really, right? So to those that don't know what we've been up to, we just celebrated our 5th year running with RunDisney, and it was, I like to think about like our humble beginnings, right? Of like when we started and our conversation around wanting to start to run, because we both were not runners.
No. I mean, if you think about it, so the first time that we ever actually ran anything was not a Disney marathon. It was the turkey trot.
Yeah, the turkey trot. Yep.
And it's funny because I was thinking about that the other day, and we ran, it was a 5K, right? So it's a 5K through Bayport. And I remember at the end of the 5K, we crossed the finish line. Right. Our families went to grab Starbucks.
We're like our first official run, and they were not there to see our finish.
And they didn't see us cross the finish line. But that being said, when we called, because they are wonderfully, they love us and care about us and are proud of us, but they were at Starbucks.
Yeah.
And I honestly felt like I couldn't walk for the next, for the rest of the day.
We had wobbly legs, and it just seemed like such a feat to like get ourselves to that place where we were completing just a 5K, and I know like we talk about this just because it's it's not just, right?
No.
That was at that time in our lives, that was a huge accomplishment to be able to complete our very first run.
Yeah.
And to be able to kind of get through it and get to the other side of it. So I think, that experience kind of set the tone for us for the future, right? Of I never would have imagined all that we've done with this.
And you know what? I love that we level up year after year.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I know after that 5K, I felt like, and it's 3 miles and of consistency. And I know after that, I felt like I could eat it was Thanksgiving morning.
Yes.
I felt like I could eat whatever I wanted without having to feel remotely bad about what I was doing. Like
we did it several times after that. This was actually the first year I did not do the 5K for Thanksgiving. And I felt kind of sad about it because it was just such a fun experience, and it just like starts the day off in a really great way,
healthy,
right?
productive.
Yeah.
And we brought the kids, right? The kids did the fun. Now
the fun run.
Now our kids are definitely at a point where they could probably outrun us in the 5K.
Yes. And my son Billy did the 5K with me one year, which was so fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. And listen, hopefully they all do it in Disney with us.
Yes, someday.
At some point.
That's definitely the goal, right?
But yeah, so that being said, getting back to, we did this 5K, we set a goal for ourselves, we continued on, and then I'm not even quite sure how we ended up doing the first Disney run, I think.
Well, you had the idea first. I feel like you had told me about it.
Yeah.
I think we were in Vermont, and you had mentioned that you were going to be doing the 10K.
Yeah.
And, you'd never run before. You love Disney. And I was like, that sounds like an amazing thing. I got to get in on that.
I mean, let's be honest. It was an excuse
to be there.
For us to get another Disney trip in, which was like a healthy, and who's going to argue with that, right? Like we're doing something positive and feel good. And so that was fantastic. That was year one. Year one was just shout out to our friend Heather, who joins us year after year as well. But first, that was a 10K. That was where we like leveled up a little bit, right?
Yeah. And that was really, really challenging too, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, we had never run consistently for 6 miles. That was never a thing. I mean, and I remember both of us saying like, we're athletes now. We're officially athletes. We've accomplished, this level of, athleticism for being able to complete a 10K. And we had our husbands join us for that run, right? That was like the very first experience
Not knowing what to expect. I mean, I had never even been to the ESPN zone. So getting there and walking through the expo and picking up our bib and really feeling like a true runner. And I feel like we spend so much, even now, right? Like I feel like we run a marathon. Oh, it's a true marathon. We have run in one time 26.2 miles. Like I feel like we still treat it like, oh, we're athletes, but we are.
Yeah.
Do you know that 1% of the population ever completes a marathon?
100%. And that will be something I have on my gravestone because it's like a huge
mother, entrepreneur, great friend, great wife, marathon runner.
Because it's a huge accomplishment that not many people do. And I feel like people always say, I could never do that. And I always feel like that's so stifling because I never thought I could do it either.
Same.
I never thought that would be something in my trajectory for my life. And to be able to accomplish that and then seeing how it lines up with every aspect of my life, like other moments where I'm accomplishing goals and how it lines up with like the struggle, the lack of motivation, the lack of, feeling like I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. I'm hot. I'm too cold.
I doing this?
Why am I doing this? Why did I put myself through this in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And then just seeing how that applies to like every aspect of my life since then or even prior to that of just like keeping the momentum going and putting one foot in front of the other to get to the end is like so symbolic.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny. Again, this is like such a reflective episode, right? But I feel like if I look back to that first 10K, we were so excited. We didn't know what to expect. We were in our favorite place in the world. And, you know, we embraced every moment of it to the point where I feel like at the end of it, we were great friends before, but I feel like everything changed. There was such a bond of we did this together and we shared so many stories and we crossed the finish line and we ran it, which I don't think either one of us, you know, we kind of gave ourselves the okay of, all right, if we need to walk, we'll walk. And I think we were just so in the moment that we didn't have to, right? Like we just did it.
Right.
And then it was done. And then we felt like we couldn't walk again. So it was like we went from the 5K to the 10K where our legs, you know, we owed ourselves like a really big meal and kind of like a relaxation day. And I just feel like the great part of that run in general is the aftermath too, because we can reflect back on what we did and how good we feel and how, you know, from a timeline standpoint, it starts the run is always January, right? It's always
it's a great time of year.
It's such a good time of year. And I feel like, you know, sometimes people will say to me, well, you know, it's so great. You end the year doing something, but no, we actually start the year with a goal and we check off that goal in the beginning of the year.
Definitely. Yeah,
right?
For sure. And just seeing the progression, right? Like these things don't just happen overnight. And I think that's like, you know, you have so much excitement around, okay, we're signing up for the race. We got in, you know, with RunDisney, there's like a queue and you have to wait and you're not always sure if you're going to get in. And, you know, you might have to.
In.
Yeah. We always get in.
Every year we're getting in.
But I did the fundraising one year because I wasn't, you know, the first year Val had already signed up. And so I wasn't in on it just that yet. So I had to do the fundraising. But like, we have to kind of follow the process of not knowing exactly what's going to happen, but we've always made it very celebratory and it's always a really exciting time, a little anxious, like, are we going to get in? Are we not? You know? Yeah. And I feel like that build up is what keeps you motivated in the very beginning of something exciting, right? Anything, right? Whether it's building your business or, you know, looking towards some health and fitness goal or whatever the case is. It's like there's all this excitement and momentum in the beginning. And then you see like the person that completed the marathon at the end, but you never see like the chunk in between, right? Yeah. Of like all the days that, you know, we live here in New York, the weather is terrible, like 80% of the time, right? It's either super hot or super cold. We never have like that comfortable zone of weather. So just to be able to prioritize it and make it a goal that we stretch out throughout the whole year, I feel like, you know, people need to see that it's not easy.
But also saying, you know, you mentioned just now, like the little win. So I feel like the other thing is, you know, like the little celebratory moments before the moment, which to us is like a count. I mean, we let's be honest, 300 and what do we have, like 60 days before the next one? But I feel like, you know, even when we sit and register, we're like, okay, tomorrow's the day, guys. Get by your computer, and we have like our little Disney Run mug where we're enjoying even that, like even the registration process, and turn on the music, and you know that's so important. I think in goal setting, just like in whatever it is, because let's be honest, not everybody's going to run a marathon, right? And not everyone's going to even run a 10K, and I think recognizing that whatever it is you can do to make yourself feel good in the beginning of the year and to set a goal for whenever, it could be the end of the year, you know, enjoying the process of getting there.
Right. The journey. Definitely.
Yeah. It's so important. And I really think that we have successfully.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why our goals stick, right? Like that's why our goals stick, because it's not just about the end game. Yeah. There's so much more in between that we value and that we celebrate. And that's what keeps us going. You know, even down to like, I remember when we did our first 23 miles, right? When we had built up this momentum over the course of the year. And then it was like this daunting 23 miles we had to do. And I feel like we rescheduled it a couple of times. And like we've always made priorities to run together where we could. And that didn't look like that every week, right? We have busy lives. We have families, businesses, other things going on. But we always tried to like find little wins. And I don't remember what election it was, but like we ran to the voting booth. Okay. Yeah. We ran to the voting booth, we voted, and then got back on the running course. Right. It was like, how can we break this up a little bit so it's not so treacherous and terrible? And then like we ran to breakfast and we got breakfast together and we knew all the spots. And like, one of the things I feel like people don't talk enough about is how difficult that is when you're doing those really long stretches. Like we were literally smelling people's Sunday morning bacon from their houses the morning, that we were out doing this horrible run for 23 miles. And that's the other thing. I feel like it can be horrible.
It's horrible.
It's not like it's all fun. I mean, it's, people always say, oh, I hate running. We hate running too.
Hate running, yeah.
Like literally. I mean, it's not, there's moments where it's exciting and it's fun. And especially when you're in Disney, it doesn't get any better. But like a big chunk of that time is spent saying, I hate this. Yeah. And we just have to get through it. And what's going to be our goal marker to get us through it? And so one year it was going to vote at the library because it was on the route of our run, or going to, get breakfast and then dealing with the run back after that, right? So it's like trying to find those little ways to almost like manipulate the goals so that it's not so terrible the whole time, right? And I feel like, again, this can apply to every aspect of our lives. I mean, anytime you feel that you're stuck or you can't get to the next space, how can you make it a little bit more fun?
Right. So setting great examples, right, for your children if you have them, or for the people that you love. And doing something for you. I mean, I know for me, I love being able to say that I do this every year. My husband's so supportive. Your husband does so supportive. They don't question it. They know what they're getting themselves into. And they're almost thankful that, you go do that and have fun. But I feel like that is also such a great example of set your goals and just enjoy them and enjoy the journey, like you said, And I mean, the funny thing is, one of my other favorite moments is we did that 10K. I think, we did the 10K. And then I remember after we completed the 6 miles, or what is it, 6.2?
Yeah.
We completed that. And then during it, I feel like we said to ourselves, we would never do a half. And at the end of this 6.2, we're like, let's do the half.
Yeah, right.
So we're always leveling up. And, now we're at a point where we did the half. I know we love the half. I mean, again, we didn't necessarily love running.
Right.
But we love the process of it.
And learning. Like, remember there were moments, like we were not a part of the runners community. So we didn't know all the little tips and tricks that everybody has. Like, eating the Energizer beans.
You do now.
Right. Like little things like that we just didn't know about until we experienced it. So like, I remember when we did the half, a lot of the race, they make a lot of fun. You're going through the parks. It's exciting. And then there's like a good chunk of the race where you are just hitting the pavement. It's highway miles. It's going up ramps, down ramps. It's just not as fun. And like there were moments where we, I remember just being like silent between the two of us. We weren't talking. Our AirPods died. Like that half marathon. We didn't know that you have to bring a charger with you. We didn't know
like a
that.
Second pair of
or a second pair.
Charged,
right.
Yeah.
We didn't know these things. And so like it was all kind of a learning experience, and also that like struggle of just like, okay, we just knew between the two of us we were going to be quiet.
Right.
It was just like a silence.
Respected each other's like.
Right. We just have to get through it. And then also witnessing like other people that were literally falling down next to us that couldn't make it, and like trying to kind of keep each other going through the whole process. I feel like there was just so many learning experiences through that of how we could better equip ourselves the next time around, So it really was just such a journey of learning how to navigate this, and then feeling like the moment we crossed that finish line, we did it. Like, we really pulled it together somehow and helped each other through that.
And then, I mean, just recognizing the runner community as a whole. I mean, I have to say, shout out to the runner community, because they are the most wholesome, kind people I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, I've seen people fall to the ground and people stop, right? I'm sure some of these people are trying to run for time, but stop to help that person or, you know, motivate people if it looks like they're not doing well. I mean, the latest story on the Disney Instagram was the winner of the marathon, right? She actually stayed and stood there.
I loved that.
And waited until the very last finisher crossed the finish line just to congratulate, motivate the person and congratulate. I mean,
where would you see that? I know. I thought that was so beautiful. Right? I saw that too. Yeah.
And then remember we saw because the other thing we do, if we're not running the full, we are watching the full and we're cheering on the full, because I know for us, you know, during the run, those people on the sidelines are angels.
Everything.
Right? They have their signs and they're cheering and they're handing out water, the volunteers. I mean, just being there, those spectators and cheering you along really makes a difference,
Absolutely,
right?
Yep.
And we do that for the marathoners if we're not running. And one of my favorite moments of this year was watching the mother who had that was it, right? She had reached her peak and her two sons were carrying her from mile 25 to the end, which was just one of my most favorite moments.
I know, that was so beautiful. And there was another mother too who came over and saw her kids right at that 25th mile, and she kind of lost it. And it was just like it's such and that's really what our inspiration to run the full marathon was. I mean, we just had shown up for about 3 years, seeing and witnessing people running and doing this thing that seemed so challenging but so rewarding.
Right.
And that's what kind of inspired us to sign up. And it was really like a wish, right? Like it was something that we just were like, we're going to try. We're going to just see what we can do and make it happen. And we did.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, I think one of my proudest moments, I always compare it to childbirth because it was like the hardest thing I've ever done aside from having my children. It's like, you know, you see that finish line, it's so close. And I remember the two of us like held each other practically, crying through that last mile of just like, this is it. We've officially done it.
Right.
This thing that we worked the entire year for, we've gotten to the end. And, you know, and then the crazies that are doing this over and over and over again every year. I mean, it just takes so much mental power.
Right.
You know, and I know we talked about this with our friend Heather a little bit about like how it's so much your mentality, right? Like of just keeping that mentality of putting one foot in front of the other, not necessarily, of course, there's like the training and the things you have to do for your body, but so much of it is just keeping yourself going.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
And you know what, I know that when you're doing that full marathon, you know, you definitely you hit a wall, right? No matter how trained you are. I mean, we were trained. We trained for, no matter how much you've done in the past, once you hit that mile, I'm going to say like 20. I feel like we looked at each other and we're like, we still have another 10K to go to cross the finish line. And there was a moment where I really thought to myself, are we going to finish this?
Yeah.
And I mean, again, having each other, I think was really unbelievably helpful in crossing. I'm not sure that I could have done it without you. Totally.
Same.
You know, 100%. But I also remember getting to that mile 25 and when it clicked that we are going to do this, you know, and when I think I broke down because I remember, I feel like I was crying maybe the last 2 miles of the run because it's just such an unbelievable feeling knowing that we did this. We set a goal. We worked so hard all year. We have families. We have businesses.
Yeah.
You know, we dedicated our time to this goal and we're actually going to finish it.
Right.
You know, so I don't think I was anticipating that. I knew that I would feel happy once I crossed the finish line and I would feel accomplished. I don't think I was ready for the moment before that of oh my God, I don't know if I can do it. My body, I don't think my body can move anymore. And then realizing, wait, this is
we're
happening.
doing it. Yeah. I remember that moment where like I pulled over to like ice my feet. Everything hurt terribly. And I was like, Val, go on without me. Like, save yourself. And you were like, no, I'm waiting for you. We just got to get going because we're running out of time.
Like, we're going to do this together, but we're going to do this now.
We need to go. Yeah. We need to go now. And it was like, that inspiration of just having one another to support each other through it and get to the end was like huge for me, for sure. Of just, and then my husband surprised me there, which was like so nice. But I feel like even in that moment too, and I know we've talked about this, like we were completely delirious. He's asking me where I am. We have no clue. I have no idea where we are.
We're tell us where are we?
It is really just such a mental game towards the end. I feel like, and then we have, we just celebrated this 5 years, and we, after doing that marathon, decided to do the 10K as kind of like a celebratory, like, let's not kill ourselves this year. Let's kind of, take it down a little bit. Make this about celebrating our 5 years and, not necessarily about pushing our limits, right? But our friend Heather, who has, and this is what I think the beauty of all of this is that we are all at different places on our journey with our health and wellness. And so for Heather, she was in a different space and had, kind of leveled up each year in her own way. And this was her first year coming to a finish with us. And that was so wonderful to be able to celebrate that with her and to be a part of that experience with her. And so I think, again, just such a symbolic thing of just how, everybody runs their race at their different pace, at a different speed. It's not always the same. And it's not always about getting to the finish line, right? So it's like, how can you reevaluate for yourself and kind of stay in that zone for yourself to do better than you did last time, you know? And that's exactly what she did. And I know for us, we were so celebratory for her because we just knew what a big moment that was for her to be able to accomplish that with us, And
I think it's funny because just as, running and crossing a finish line or finishing the marathon, I was just as emotionally satisfied this year as I've been in the past.
Yeah, totally.
Because, we were with this great friend of ours who has shown up year after year after year. And again, I even recognized that moment with her when, there was definitely moments, I'm sure, where she was thinking to herself, I could tap out right now, right? I'm done. But once she got to that mile where she knew or recognized, wait, I'm doing this. I'm finishing this. And I saw it on her face. I think we both did. And we all cried because for her to be able to reach a goal and for us to be able to be a part of that, was really, there's nothing like it. It's like, it's indescribable.
Yeah. Well, we got to witness that, right? We got to witness that for her, which was so huge, I feel like, to be able to see her accomplish this thing that she's tried so hard to do each year and to be a part of that is amazing.
So sometimes I think maybe just, again, if marathon's not on your radar but doing something or being there for somebody that you care about and helping them accomplish their goal is equally, if not more satisfying,
Definitely.
And I think the great part of all of this is that we're ready to sign up for the next one. So it's already, it's always something that just, is in motion and we're looking forward to. And I guess it's almost like a never ending, joyful journey. Who knows, where we'll go from here.
Built on this friendship, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, we met through our children, which was such a gift, to be able to have our kids bring us together essentially. But think about how much that has grown over the years. And Heather, our friend, I didn't even know, right? Our kids are not the same age. You introduced me to her. And we've created this little trio amongst each other that is such a support system to one another. And it goes beyond Disney, right? It's
totally.
It's Disney was kind of the bond that brought us together. But that trip, and I know you've said this before, it's more than just a girls trip. Like you could go on a girls trip and there's nothing to say, nothing wrong with saying girls trips are great. I love going with the
Absolutely.
girls. But this is like, but this is
a
like
girls trip.
Yeah. Anytime there's a girls trip, I'm down. But this is different. This experience is different, and we can't always articulate it completely to others. Like I feel like because it's built on so much more. It's not just about getting together as moms or friends. It's about, trying to accomplish something, trying to set the year off on a good foot, like trying to, think about and talk about what our goals are for the new year. We always try to make that a priority during our time there. We have moments of vulnerability where we're like, connecting about, loved ones that have passed and how sad this is for us to be here without them, or kind of having moments where we're talking about the struggles our children are experiencing, or, other relatable things that kind of naturally come up with this dedicated time that we have for each other. So I feel like it definitely goes beyond just being a mom's trip. It's really kind of a beautiful tradition that we've created, with each other.
And I mean, I know we've even spoken about, again, we started with the children and we've progressed since then. Obviously, the friendship has evolved into something that's really very special. I know, we find ourselves talking about in retirement, volunteering, if there's a time where we can't run anymore for whatever reason, just being there and being in the moment and supporting the people who are still doing it. And just, again, bringing it back to those moments where, sure, we ran the race and now we're having a dinner, we're watching the fireworks, we're sitting down, we're talking about our goals for the year, talking about our struggles, that have occurred over the past year. And it really is a very special trip, and I know when we close it out and we come home, it's kind of, we have this, what is it? I would say about a month.
The Disney depression.
The Disney depression. And honestly, I'm a little depressed until we've booked the next one.
Yeah.
And once the next one's on the calendar, I'm like, all right. Countdown to, to the next run. But I think, that's definitely, we're very lucky. And I, for anyone who is listening in, it's just important to recognize the importance of having something for you, right? I mean, I feel like a lot of times people feel guilty about doing something or putting themselves first. And I think it's so important to get past that because let's be honest, we do it at literally the craziest time.
Oh, absolutely.
We host the holidays.
Nutty time, yeah.
I mean, we're running businesses. We were just off for the holidays and now we're ramping up for the new year. And we're like, all right,
we're out. We're going to take 5 days.
Wait, we're going to the marathon. I mean, I know my husband, it was a crazy time for him. The kids are so busy. He has his business going and, totally supportive of what we did. But I think
it couldn't be the worst time of year.
It could not be. Right, Disney, if you're listening, it maybe change the marathon.
Make it just a couple of weeks later.
But I mean, nonetheless, we just keep coming back. And I feel like there is no end in sight,
Yeah.
And I love that for us.
One little tradition that I love that we've done, like maybe the past couple of years, is setting the intention, right? Like we've done these intentional words, and this is something that I always kind of set forth for myself. And I've done this with clients at work, where I kind of put forth an intention for a word to describe, rather than just being like I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to, run a marathon, get out of debt, whatever the goal is, trying to kind of find a word that represents myself and the things that I want to accomplish in the year. And the reason I love that is because it's so versatile, right? Like you can, like our word last year was strength. And, I feel like we really embodied that with our health goals. We started Pilates and we had consistently like shown up for Pilates, kind of a different angle than our typical running, journey. And it applied to every aspect of my life, though. I leveled up my business in a really big way last year. Like I grew exponentially. I wasn't necessarily prepared for all of the growth. So it was a little bit of like a shock. I had like some health things that came up and just kind of like dealing with a couple of different things that I wasn't necessarily prepared for. But when I look back at that word, it's like all of those moments in my life last year aligned with it, right? I had to have the strength to do Pilates. I had to have the strength to level up my business. I had to have the strength to kind of deal with like the growing pains that came with the business. And so, and the health issues that were kind of unexpected. So it was like all these ways that I was meeting that intention for myself. And I feel like that's why the intention is so great, because it doesn't have to be a one size fits all, lose 20 pounds. It could be kind of framed in different ways that you feel accomplishment. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. And I feel like no matter where you're at in your life, no matter what you're doing, obviously we're in a little bit of a different place now than we were when we first met. And we had very tiny children who needed our total attention. Obviously they still need us, but, but to a different degree.
Right.
And I think, being able to be that example and be strong in all areas. I mean, I know that those intentions have absolutely just helped me throughout the year in all aspects of my life, and I feel like looking ahead to next year is really exciting, because I think that we can only go up from here.
Definitely.
And who knows what, maybe we'll be doing the dopey.
Never.
Never. Yeah. So,
but even like our celebratory moment, right? This year. So like Heather kind of, had this big moment for her, and we were there to support her through that. And I feel like we also were celebrating our year, our recap of just like all that we've accomplished individually over the year. And then we went to Victoria and Albert's, which was like a huge deal. I mean, if you're a part of Disney, you know how, inspirational, or I don't know what the right word is for that. Like it's like it's just like a bucket list item, right? Exactly. It's just like something that most people don't get the opportunity to do, right? Like to go there. And so I know you were such a big part of making that happen for us, checking in and trying to get us, the reservation for that, and just being able to like get dressed up and feel really good about that accomplishment and celebrating. I mean, I feel like that's the thing that takes you farther, right? It's like when you are able to reflect and appreciate. I mean, for us, that was a big win. I feel like, that's like something I will never forget, just being able to go there and experience that. And I'll probably never do it again, right? It was just like a once in a lifetime experience.
And just celebrating those wins. And there's always something else. The nicest part of this trip is we have our traditions because it's what makes our hearts happy. But we always have those added moments that, we look back on last year. I could think of a moment every single year we've gone where we've done something slightly different. And it's just been so beautiful and such a celebratory. So really celebrating those moments and leveling up. Maybe leveling up is our word for this year.
Yeah.
Level up. Because you can always level up.
Right. And it doesn't have to be like enormous strides, right? And that's what's, I think, so great about that word. It's like you could level up in little ways and then eventually see the big result from those little ways, right? Those little changes that you've done that lead to the big result.
Right. And look at this. We've done, many things. We've made it this far. We've run our marathon. We've run multiple halves. We've run multiple 10Ks. And now we finally have made it here to our Champagne Confidential podcast, which we've talked about for years. And this is a really big win for us. And it's our first, episode in our first year. And I'm really excited to be doing this.
To see where it takes us, right?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll be somewhere in the expo. People will want to talk to us and get some inspiration for their runs,
Absolutely. That would be like the dream come true.
Yeah. If you're listening. We're available.
We're open. We're ready. We can get down there at any time.
Ready for business.
We can get down there at any time. I agree. I think that it's, this is proof, right? Like it started, I feel like, with a conversation around just, wanting to create this thing. We both feel like we're so professional all the time. We have to kind of uphold this professionalism within our, the work that we do. I'm a therapist, Val's a lawyer. So there's like this feeling like you have to be this person. And through our friendship and our conversations, realizing that, what bonds us and what helps us in our work is this ability to be authentic and real with people. And so that kind of naturally brings, like a result, right? Like we feel like that's we were just talking about this, like a big part of why we're successful in our work is because we're real. And so our conversations amongst each other about things going on in the world or goals that we want to set or motherhood. I mean, it runs the gamut, right? We talk about all the things that why not bring this to people? Why not talk about this as a way to relate? Not that we have all the answers, but more like just to open up that forum for conversation. Right.
Communication is so key. And I think just, the fact that we are proud of what we've accomplished. We're proud of the businesses that we run, and we're proud of the fact that we're doing it all while navigating motherhood and really trying to be the best we can be in all areas and aspects of our life. And I think, communicating that to our audience is key and letting people know we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. We're just all doing the best that we can.
Yeah, definitely. And even just thinking about like the small steps to get here, right? Like we were hoping to launch this podcast in September.
Right.
And it didn't happen. And we were like, okay, let's micro that. Let's bring it down to like, let's just get our logo. Let's just figure out, we're going to need a logo. Let's just start there. And so that was like, it was years of just like an idea. And then it was, okay, we want to make this happen. And then it was, okay, how are we going to make this happen? We're so busy. School was starting. We were coming off of summer. Like our businesses were getting really busy at that time. And I remember thinking like, okay, but even if we could just take like this tiniest step towards making it a reality, that'll be a step forward. And so it was just getting this beautiful logo.
Right. Yeah. And the key factor, just making it happen.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
We will make it happen, maybe on our own timeline, but it will happen and it will be great.
Yeah. And we did.
Yeah. So cheers to us.
Cheers to that. I mean, I
cheers
feel like
to the
that's amazing.
marathon. Cheers to Champagne Confidential.
Yes. Cheers.
And for what's to come.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in today.
Please like and subscribe to our social media channels at Champagne Confidential Podcast.